Let's move into this current day Gamecocks team because obviously, again, we're talking on a high. South Carolina just beat Auburn, 15th ranked team in the country. Get back to 500. You're 2-2. And again, obviously, you being in the Facebook group, you're somebody you follow Gamecock football very, very closely. Proud alum, all that good stuff. Talk about, and I agree with you, by the way, Colin Hill. I think he's played beautifully through 4 games. He hasn't done anything flashy or crazy, but, the defense has been good. But I talked about this on the show earlier this week. I attribute a lot of this team's success to the offense being that much better under Bobo and with Hill. And I think fans really undervalue just having a steady hand at quarterback, like having a guy, exactly what you're going to get from every week. Right. Again, we're not going to be must-watch TV offensively or SportsCenter top 10 or what, but he's going to keep you in every single football game. He's not going to throw you out of a game, and you're not going to show up to the ballpark wondering, well, which guy are we going to get today? You know exactly you're going to get, and like you were saying, knows the offense like the back of his hand. He knows where everybody should be. He knows exactly where the ball should go. So I think that's extremely valuable for the South Carolina football team. You look at Kevin Harris, the way they've been running the ball. Shai Smith's been playing out of his mind, and I'd like to see some other receivers develop, and you can speak more to the wide receiver position, but Shai Smith's been playing out of his mind. And defensively, I mean, what can you say? J.C. Horn just stole the show last weekend against Auburn, but you get to 2-2. You got a big one coming up this weekend because we're talking on Tuesday afternoon of LSU week. So you got a big one this weekend at LSU, but just talk about what you've seen from Gamecock football through 4 weeks, things you like, things maybe you're concerned about. And of course, we all knew coming in this year, it's a weird year, 10-game conference schedule, but it's still year 5 of Will Muschamp, and this is a results-oriented business, and people want to win now. And I think your goals, honestly, now are in front of you. You beat the 15th ranked team in the country. What can you do with that momentum? But what you've seen through 4 games from this South Carolina football team.
Well, number one, I made up my mind just to preserve my own sanity to just focus on the offense. Reason being was because that's the new thing. Like if we can have an identity at offense, then I'm fine. And that was just me being like an optimist because I didn't want to, have a heart attack like most Gamecock fans, do every single week. Because, I haven't always been the hugest fan of Muschamp. But I have been around the program in person, a few times because he lets the former players come to practice. I've actually gone through winter workouts with them, like did them, and almost died, mind you, because I'm not 20 anymore. Like the hardest thing ever. Won't do that again. But like in terms of him being a coach outside of X's and O's, in terms of like the fundamentals, his intensity, that was great. But it's almost like a water hose that you just turn on and has no direction. Like, what's the use in focusing all that stuff on execution when we don't know we have nothing to execute? And that's what I thought about our offense last year. And finally we have an identity. And I was wrong about Kevin Harris. I thought he was just a bowling ball. Like I thought he was like a stronger Mon Denson, who was great. But he's turned out to be so well-rounded. It's like unbelievable. Like the straightaway speed, his route running ability, his hands, his vision to go on top of the power. Because literally I thought at this point, at the same time last year or whenever, Tank went to Auburn, like I could just see ourselves being kind of jealous that we didn't have Tank. And it was an unbelievable feeling to actually watch that Auburn game and not be like lusting after the other team's running back. I didn't care. I was like, no, Kevin Harris is doing more work than Tank, and I'm just fine with it. So at this point, same point last year, like I'm in the year before, Helinski or Bentley, and I can probably put this on the offensive coordinator what kind of offense we were running, but we would have had 6 to 8 interceptions already. Like period. Like that's just hands down. So right there, I'm already satisfied. And then with the resilience of the defense last week, because I had been completely ignoring the defense, I like what I see in Birch because he moves in space really, really, really well. Like those plays that you don't like, that doesn't, get the announcement or whatever. Like I see him when quarterbacks are coming outside the pocket. He's like, between the pitch man and the quarterback, and then he's like going sideline to sideline, hash to sideline, like at very nice speeds. And I'm seeing like the defense, getting some pressure. Like you can't just pin your ears back and just go balls to the wall on Auburn because they're going to like screen you to death or do some, some type of tricky stuff. And I like the linebacker play. 52. And what's his last name?
Enigbare.
Enigbare. Yeah. JJ, he's cool. He's massive. He's a big dude.
Yeah.
But then my guy Ernest, he's a little bit faster, but both of them complement each other well. I like what I'm seeing with Dixon back there. And then Sanders, he was doing a good job on those on some hits. Just come downhill a little bit more.
Little too much flexing for your like. I just imagine.
little too much flexing. I just need RJ to work a little bit more on his coverage because I don't know what happened with that. But overall, I'm really satisfied that our team didn't get all starry-eyed about Auburn coming down or listening to all the naysayers and everything. And I think we can roll it into LSU because I'm not sure how their quarterbacks.
Yeah, it sounded like very 50-50 at best. I mean, and if he doesn't play, you've got two true freshmen that have never played an SEC game. And yeah, I mean, I agree with you as far as and the thing that I saw, my biggest takeaway from that game that I liked, it was even more so than anything statistically, was like you said, not being starry-eyed, but the edge that our guys played with. I thought we showed up expecting to win. Like you know what I'm saying? And that hasn't always been the case in those type of games, like you're saying.
Right. No, you're exactly right. Because I mean, I can't even recall us beating Auburn. I was like, that's just one of those names.
First time since 1933.
Right. So those guys really came in and took it to them. And then the fact that I can actually articulate what type of offense you guys have. Like if somebody were to ask me that last year, I was like,
who knows?
First of all, I feel like 3 years ago we had like a sort of RPO, but then it was like a bad RPO. Then it was like a really fast bad RPO.
It's like you said, it doesn't make any sense to run a RPO with a quarterback that can't R. Like there's no R, it's just PO.
Right.
Like I mean, it makes no sense.
Right.
Yeah, I agree.
Right. But I'm just waiting for that second or third receiver to step up. That's key.
I was gonna say, talk about the receiver position. I mean, you can mention Shy because it is mind blowing to me that, and this is more credit to Shy, I guess, because he's just going out there and winning his matchups. But I've been saying like week after week, I'm like, okay, there's no way this team's just going to let us go out there and force feed it to Shy, and he's going because people are like, hey, do you think he'll have over under 8 catches? And I'm like, 8 catches is a lot. That's a lot of catches. That's a lot of targets. Right. I'm like, there's no way these defenses, these D coordinators are just going to let us force feed it to him. And Shi Smith, to his credit, like I said, he just continues to get open. He continues to make these crazy catches or whatever. But I agree with you 110%. Man, if we had 2 or 3 other 4-star wide receivers that could help him out, this offense could be really dangerous.
Right, because, I mean, in terms of Shi being open, I mean, that's going to happen every week. Because as a route runner, like defensive alignments, dictate how you're going to be open. Like in zone, like cover 2, like, and when you have somebody who's a route technician that runs really good routes, but then identifies the defense and knows how they're going to be open, like, hey, and I know this guy's going to be sitting, so even though it's a cross route, I'm going to probably have to choke it down or run it shallow, or, I'm have to sit here, under the safety, but right above the corner. Like football, a lot of that is cerebral. Like that's how you can survive in the SEC, or be in the NFL and running 4.6s or have Larry Fitzgerald types, and it's crazy that we had like Brian Edwards, Shy, and like Debo, like,
Hayden Hurst on one offense.
On one offense, and didn't have the offense equipped to distribute the ball to each one of them. It's almost like they had to take turns. It's like, oh, I shine. Now I'm going. Now you shine. Yeah. Now I'm going.
I think shine. Of if Mike Bobo had those weapons, gosh, oh man.
But just like I go back to when you said talked about my Vanderbilt game, and I will use Josh Van as an example. I thought it was an awesome pickup. He was like decent, but the longer you stay on campus, and the longer you are without that spark that you had when you were that superstar that we recruited, you start to lose that taste, because wide receiver is a big mental thing. It's really big. Like you put one on the ground, you need one right away.
Right.
Like you need another one. Like you got to experience that. You got to experience that success, man. So I think it's a lot of it is mental, and I think Bobo just has to continue to through schematics get some of these guys open and let them make plays.
For sure.
So before the season is up, we're going to know who our 2 are.
Yeah, no, and like you said, it's a great opportunity this weekend at LSU. Like you said, chance for another upset, and I say upset because Vegas, you're a 6.5 or 7-point underdog, but I think it's kind of another one of those coin flip games. I mean, I really do. When you take a look at it, what LSU's dealing with, the way they've played defensively, your quarterback might not be playing. And, you know, somebody else phrased it perfectly. If you keep winning, they keep getting bigger. So, I mean, I'm not going to keep, you know,
Right.
on my show or whatever saying, oh, this is a big game. Yeah, if you keep winning, they're going to keep being big games. That's the luxury of it. You want to play in big games every week. That's
Right,
the
right.
nice thing for sure.